Hi, this is Mr. Sullivan, and we're going to do this is the last video on operations with radicals. This crazy looking thing looks so difficult, but it turns out you actually have all the skills you need in order to do it. Right here, radical 21 divided by radical 7 can actually be combined into one radical. Just like with multiplication, this is division. That's what that fraction is telling you, divide. So first thing I'll do is divide my coefficients. 6 divided by 2 is 8. 21 divided by 7 is 3. So then I'm going to put the square root of 3, combining that radical. Minus 5 radical 12. So now this is a subtraction problem. And since this has a radical 3 underneath the this has a radical 3, I bet that there is a radical 3 within this radical 12. So let's look at 12. Instead of dividing by 2 like I normally would do, I'm going to break this up by dividing by 3 because I'm guessing that 3 is going to be in there. Turns out 3 times 4 is 12. 4 is a perfect square, so 2 times 2. Once I have a pair, I can free up that square root of 4, which is 2. So I take one of the 2's from the pair and I put that on the outside of the radical. So I'll rewrite this as 8 square root of 3 minus 5 times, and now I take one of the 2's from the pair, and now what's left inside the radical is a 3. So 5 times 2 is 10. So now I have 8 radical 3 minus 10 radical 3. And look, conveniently I have like terms. And they're trying to get you here. 8 minus 10 is going to be a negative, right? 8 minus 10 gives you negative 2. So the answer to this problem is negative 2 radical 3. So let's check our answer. Looking at this, I got to put this whole complicated thing into my calculator. I have a fraction, so always put your fractions in parentheses. So parentheses 16, second square root, 21. Close the parentheses for the radical, and then close the parentheses for the numerator. Divided by 2, second square root. Oh, I forgot my parentheses, so I'm going to go back, second, insert. And I'm going to put in a parentheses for my denominator. And then I finish this radical 7 out, close the parentheses for the radical 7, close the parentheses for the denominator. And I hit enter. This is my numerator. And what I'm going to be doing is subtracting from my numerator, this is my answer to the fraction. And I'm going to subtract from that 5 radical 12. So 5 second square root 12, close parentheses. So my answer should be equal to this number, which is negative. So that's a good sign. So I'll put my answer of negative 2 second square root of 3, close parentheses. And it matches, so that means I am correct. Now this one is a little bit different, but all the same skills are required for this one, so you don't have to worry. You have all the skills you need in order to do this. But I'm looking at these two things, and I see I've got two radicals that need to be simplified. So before I can get this thing done, let's take a minute to simplify those two radicals. So I take the number 75, and I go to my calculator. 75 divided by 2, not a whole number. 75 divided by 3, whole number. So this gets broken up into 3 times 25, and 25 is a special number because it's a perfect square, because 5 times 5 is 25. So now I see a pair, so I'm going to pull one of those out of the radical. I'm going to take the number 27. 27 is not divisible by 2, but it is, surprisingly, divisible by 3, which works out well for us. So 3 times 9, and then 9 is also a perfect square, 3 times 3. So again, I have a pair. Okay? So a 5 is going to come out of this radical, and a 3 is going to come out of this radical. So I'm going to rewrite my answer as 3 times 5, and what's left in the radical is this 3, radical 3, plus, now there's a 3 gets pulled out of this radical, and a 3 is left inside the radical. And all of this is getting divided by 3. So it's really important to rewrite the complete expression after each step. Now, 3 times 5 is 15 times the square root of 3 plus 3 times the square root of 3, and is being divided by 3. So here again I see like terms, which is really good. So I get 15 plus 3 is 18 radical 3 divided by 3. And now what I have to notice is that I can actually take 18 and divide it by 3 and get a whole number. 18 divided by 3, because that's what the fraction is telling me to do, and I get a 6. So that means that my final answer will be 18 divided by 3, which is 6 times radical 3. And we can check this answer in our calculator, right? This expression, again, it's a fraction, so you gotta put your whole numerator in parentheses, just to be careful, right? Second square root 75, close the parentheses for the radical, plus second square root 27, close the parentheses for the radical, and then close the parentheses for the numerator, right? This parentheses and this parentheses are for your numerator. Now we're going to divide that whole thing by 3, so you don't need these parentheses, but if you want to be safe, it doesn't hurt. And I get this number, 10.3923048, and so on. So now I'll take my answer, 6 times second square root of 3, close parentheses, and I've confirmed that I'm correct. It's really important to check that out because you can always go back and look for mistakes if you get something different. And this one is correct. So these are the most difficult problems you'll encounter. Okay, you have all the skills you need to do them, and remember, you can always get partial credit for at least trying to simplify these radicals. Okay, if you see these on the exam, just try something out. Make sure you break the numbers up and look for those pairs. The pairs are always going to get freed up from the radical, right? So you can take one of these 5s, comes out of this radical. One of these 3s pops out of the radical. Okay? Good luck with this on the exam.